The ride back to Agbowo was a blur. My thoughts spiraled, replaying every moment I'd spent with Caleb. His charm, his laughter, the way he made me feel safe, was it all a facade? The memory of his hands around my throat sent shivers down my spine. I told myself it was over, I'd never see him again. But deep down, I knew this was far from the end. Back at my sister's apartment, I locked the door, bolted the windows, and curled up on the bed. Kayamaka wasn't home. She'd mentioned spending the weekend at a friend's place. I was grateful for the solitude but also unnerved by it. Every creak of the floorboards and rustle of the wind felt amplified in the silence. Determined to shake off the dread, I decided to distract myself. I opened my laptop and searched Caleb's name. His profile on the dating app was gone, but a quick dive into social media revealed something far more sinister. There were no recent posts or pictures. His accounts were almost barren. However, an old tagged photo caught my attention. It was him, unmistakably Caleb, standing beside a stunning woman. She looked eerily familiar, her dark skin glowing, her eyes piercing even through the screen. My heart dropped. It was her, the woman from my nightmare. The caption read, "Forever in our hearts, Amara. 1988 to 2018. My breath hitched as I scrolled through the comments. The posts were condolences, mentions of a tragic accident, and whispers of foul play. Caleb's name surfaced again and again, always accompanied by questions and speculation. One comment stood out: he wasn't even at the funeral. What kind of husband does that? Husband. The word echoed in my mind, chilling me to the bone. Could Caleb have been lying to me all along? Was Amora's ghost haunting me, warning me of something I couldn't see? That night, sleep eluded me. I couldn't stop thinking about Caleb, Amora, and the children in my dream. Were they figments of my imagination, or was there something real, something sinister, I was missing? Desperation pushed me to do something I'd never done before: consult a spiritualist. Ibadan was known for its rich culture, and while I'd never believed in such things, I needed answers. A friend of Kayameka's directed me to an elderly woman known as Mama Titi, who lived in the outskirts of the city. The next morning, I made my way to her humble home, a small, weathered building surrounded by lush vegetation. Mama Titi greeted me with a knowing look, as if she'd been expecting me. "You have been touched by the spirit of the lost," she said before I could speak. Her words sent a chill down my spine. I recounted my nightmare and the events that followed. She listened intently, her expression grave. When I finished, she closed her eyes and muttered a prayer in a language I didn't understand. "Amora's spirit seeks justice," Mama Titi said finally. Her death was not natural. It was caused by betrayal and rage. I felt the blood drain from my face. Betrayal. Are you saying Caleb killed her? Mama Titi didn't answer directly. Instead, she handed me a small pouch filled with herbs. "Take this," she instructed. "Burn it in your home tonight. If her spirit appears, she will guide you to the truth." That evening, I followed Mama Titi's instructions. As the herbs burned, the pungent scent filled the apartment. The air grew heavy, and a strange stillness settled over the room. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the temperature dropped. She appeared again, Amora. Her presence was both terrifying and sorrowful. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Instead, images flooded my mind: Caleb and Amora arguing in a dimly lit room, his face contorted with anger. A struggle. A fall. Blood pooling on the floor. My chest tightened as the vision faded. Amora's eyes met mine, and I understood. She wanted me to know the truth, to uncover the lies that surrounded her death. The next day, I made a decision. I went to the police. Armed with the visions and the details I'd uncovered online, I filed a report. To my surprise, the officer on duty wasn't dismissive. "You're not the first person to bring up Caleb's name," he said grimly. "But without solid evidence, there's little we can do." I left feeling both validated and frustrated. As I walked through the bustling streets of Ibadan, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Amora, and whatever dark truth Caleb was hiding. I didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was clear: I couldn't run from this. Not anymore. Days turned into weeks, and Caleb's name became a shadow in my life, a lingering reminder of the nightmare I couldn't escape. I avoided his calls and ignored his texts. Yet, even as I tried to move on, the visions haunted me. I couldn't rest until I uncovered the truth. The police investigation dragged on with little progress. Desperate, I decided to return to Akubo, to Caleb's house, the place where it all began. Armed with courage and a recording device tucked in my bag, I planned to confront him and get answers. It was late afternoon when I arrived at Caleb's house. The once welcoming home now felt sinister, its shadows stretching like claws in the fading light. Caleb opened the door, surprised but pleased to see me. "Ada," he said, his voice warm. "I thought I lost you." I forced a smile, stepping inside. The house smelled of fresh paint and cleaning products, as if he were trying to erase something. We sat in the living room, and I wasted no time. "Caleb," I began, my voice steady. "I need to know about Amora." His face darkened, the warmth vanishing. "What about her? Who was she to you?" I pressed, leaning forward. "And what happened to her?" He hesitated, his jaw tightening. "She was my wife," he admitted finally. "But she died years ago." "Why does it matter?" "Because she came to me," I said, my voice trembling. "In my dreams, in this house. She showed me what you did." Caleb's expression turned cold. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I snapped. "She showed me everything, how you fought, how she fell." "Tell me the truth, Caleb. Did you kill her?" The air grew heavy with tension. Caleb stood, pacing the room. For a moment, I thought he might deny it again, but then he stopped and looked at me, his eyes empty. "It was an accident," he said, his voice low. "We argued, and she fell." I panicked. I didn't mean for it to happen. My stomach churned. "You didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't even go to her funeral. You left her to die, Caleb. You lied to everyone." "She was going to leave me," he shouted, his voice breaking. "She was taking the kids. I couldn't let her go." The weight of his confession hit me like a punch to the chest. My hands trembled as I reached for my bag, discreetly stopping the recording device. "You didn't just kill her, Caleb," I said, my voice shaking. "You tried to erase her. But she won't let you. Her spirit is still here, and she wants justice." I left the house that evening, my heart pounding. The recording was enough to convince the police to reopen the case. Caleb was arrested days later, and as the investigation unfolded, more damning evidence came to light. The children in my dreams were his and Amora's, taken away by her family after her death. Caleb had lied about everything, crafting a facade to hide the darkness within. Amora's story made headlines in Ibadan, her name finally vindicated. The house in Akubo was abandoned, left to the memories it held. Months later, I sat in a quiet cafe in Bodija, sipping tea and reflecting on everything that had happened. The nightmares had stopped, replaced by a sense of peace. I often thought about Amora, her piercing eyes, and the strength she'd shown even in death. Her spirit had found justice, and so had I. Ibadan no longer felt like a place of escape but a city of resilience, a place where I'd faced my fears and found my strength. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and I was finally ready to embrace it. As I stood to leave, I whispered a silent prayer for Amora and her children, thanking her for showing me the truth. Then, with a deep breath, I stepped into the bustling streets, ready to start anew.
Hey there, amazing viewers. Did you enjoy this thrilling story? There's so much more where that came from. At Toonflix Animations, we bring you gripping tales, fascinating adventures, and heartfelt stories inspired by African culture and beyond. Don't miss out. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family who love a good tale. Let's keep the magic alive together. Thank you for your support and see you in the next story.